Mattel is full of surprises, and I think we can all agree on that. I mean, Mattel is just so unpredictable. You have no idea what to expect for a given year. I mean, we walked into 2020 expecting a bunch of different cars, and we got exactly the opposite of that. And you guys may know what I'm talking about. If not, we'll discuss that in a future video. But they just dropped this bomb of a surprise on us recently, this driving character vehicles assortment, including all the cars you see here on the sides, which are the Car-ified, as I like to say, Pixar characters from Toy Story, A Bug's Life, and Monsters, Inc. And they're re-releasing pretty much all of them from Vietnam in this series that we don't really know where it's going to be available at. It's available right now at HEB stores down in Texas, which is a Texas only store. So hopefully they are more readily available in the near future. But like I said, Mattel, you just have no idea what's going on. But anyways, guys, welcome back to another Disney Docket presentation. Of course, we're going to be unboxing this case of driving characters. I'm very excited to do an unboxing. It has been a hot minute. And as always, I get my cases from GetMeCollectibles. I'll put his info in the description below. People all the time ask me, how do I get cases? And I don't understand why they ask that, because every single time I do an unboxing, I say exactly how to get the case. You have to email him, and the email address is in the description below. If you just want to buy the cars individually, that's what the eBay link in the description is for. But anyways, guys, I also want to mention real quick that my inactivity on YouTube is due to me having an internship this summer, along with my 2 other jobs at the country club. I mentioned this before, but I mentioned it at the end of the videos, so, you know, people don't always watch to the end, so I wanted to mention it early on. But anyways, guys, now we're going to get right into the unboxing. So yeah, like I said, driving character vehicles assortment. This is case A. There will be a second wave, and we'll talk about that in a moment. There's 8 cars in here, all of which are made in Vietnam. It looks like they added this little sticker on the top here, because you can see that that's a different shade of like brown than the box. I don't know why they did that, but it's interesting. I haven't really seen that before. So we're going to use the handy dandy T. So you guys know that I usually unbox the single cases, or the singles cases here on my channel, and they contain 24 cars. So this is 1/3 of that. So a little different than what we're used to, but still exciting. Now I also want to briefly mention that I won't be like quitting YouTube or anything. Everybody gets so dramatic, but there just won't be as many videos, and I can't commit myself to a schedule of saying like, okay, I'll upload Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. I can't do that anymore. So I'm just going to upload when I can. So I have no idea what the contents of this case. I will put them in the description, but we're just going to dive right in here and see what we got going on. I'm so excited to see what these look like in person. Oh my gosh. These are awesome. These packages are so unique. I've never seen anything like that. This like is really remarkable. This is kind of a revolutionary moment in terms of the Mattel line. There's a lot of different things I want to talk about here. First, the package, the size of it. So here's a normal single. They are the same height. They are the same width, but the size of the blister is quite a bit bigger, which makes sense because some of these cars in this series are big, like Sulley, but obviously some like Buzz here and, you know, P.T. Flea are not. So it's a little weird, you know, why they're doing it this way, like instead of just throwing them in like the main line in the series. But I guess it is kind of nice to make it standard across all of them because they are, you know, very much so related characters. Another thing that they're doing for the first time ever is using the image of the die cast for the card art, like on the outward facing card art. They've always pretty much used the die cast picture on the back here, but on the front they always use obviously like an animation from the movie or that Pixar sent over or whatever. So that's also kind of a new thing here, which I'm not a big fan of, but it is what it is. It looks, you know, decent. The other thing I noticed is that the name tag here is raised off the plastic, so you can see here that it's like an outward, you know, pushed out from the plastic there There's like an edge. I really like the feel of that. You know, it gives it a nice feel when you're holding it like this. I don't know why. I'm just kind of weird like that because, you know, with these, I mean, there's a little outward, you know, indentation, or not really, but like, you know, a pushed out bevel, I guess you could say, on the blister there, but it's just not as noticeable as on here because it's actually shaped around instead of just being even, if you know what I'm saying. So that's really cool. I love that. Now you can see up top there in the right hand corner, drive in with the, you know, classic sign that appears in the movie, although it doesn't look quite like that in the movie. It looks a little different. And then you have what looks to be French for drive-in, Ciné Park. Not really sure. I don't really like how that looks because it's only 2 languages. Like, I'm going to sound a little weird here, but I think it would look better if they actually had 4 languages there, like they, you know, kind of do, like right here. See how there's 4 languages there? Like, I think that looks better because it just makes sense visually. Like, oh, okay, they're doing, you know, the multi-language packaging. But then you see this and you see 2, you're like, what? Drive-in? What does that mean? I don't understand why they're only doing 2 languages here. So that's a little mind-boggling, but the card art is pretty appealing. Like, it is pretty nice. Like, I am going to pick it apart like I always do, but it is very appealing and probably some of the most appealing card art we've ever seen. So diving a little bit deeper here, you can see the background is kind of a sunset desert, you know, or the desert at dusk. I love that. And you can see there is Lizzie, and you have Guido and Luigi there watching it. So that's taken right from the movie because, you know, obviously they were all watching it at the end there. So they kind of clipped that together with this here, which is not from the movie, of course. So they have Buzz. This is Buzz Lightyear on a desert background on a street there. So a little, you know, just, I don't know if I would have chosen it to be like the desert in the background, but I think it does look pretty good again. You know, overall it's great, but just some odd choices in my opinion with that, with this, you know, with the card art itself. So I know I sound like I'm being kind of critical right now, but I feel like there's so much potential here and they just kind of took a couple different odd paths. You do have the Cars logo up here, which looks really nice. I like how it has that shadow. You have the Mattel logo down here, which really pops off the black. You know, we just really don't have that many dark packages like this, so it is pretty unique. But Buzz definitely could have been a single. I think all of these could have been singles, except for Sulley. Actually, no, I take that back. All of them really could have been and have been singles before. All of these have been released either or both as a single and 2-pack. Like just 3 years ago in 2017, P.T, Flea, Flik, Mike, they were all released as singles in the Radiator Spring series, I think. I may be wrong on that. And then Yeti and Sulley were released in a 2-pack, which is basically just singles together because they're the same price as 2 singles. And then, of course, if we take a look into historic records, you have Woody and Buzz. They were released in a 2-pack. Mike and Sulley were released in a 2-pack. Hamm has always been a single. These guys were in 2-packs. So now, you know, they're obviously going to probably cost a few more dollars than a single at HEB and obviously, you know, wherever else they do end up showing up. So a little bit disappointed about that. But, you know, again, they are trying to make the package look nice and kind of standard. But I know I just keep rambling on here, but I really want to give my thoughts on this. I just can't believe they have done a series like this. They've never really done anything like this before. By the way, Buzz is the only one in this case to have multiples of it, looks like. So there's 2 Buzzes, and that is it for multiples. The rest are all unique. But yeah, I mean, they've never done anything like this where they kind of just took a subset of characters, like one facet from the movie, and gave it its own packaging and its own artwork and all that. Like, it's pretty much like, if you think about it, taking Piston Cup racers, giving them their own, like, main line, pretty much. Which is kind of what they did for the rubber tire line, I guess you can argue that. But this is just odd to me. I'm not complaining, but it's just definitely something that makes Mattel unpredictable. Never really seen that before. But yeah, in the back here, you can see the other characters minus Buzz. So let me know your thoughts, guys, on this series in the comment section below. Obviously, it's very strange, but maybe you guys think it's entirely normal, and that's okay. Let me know in the comments below. Up next, we have P.T. Flea. Now, also, I want to mention that these name tags are reminiscent of the 2015-2016 style, and I love that. Brings back some good times. So there you have P.T. Flea's diecast artwork. Obviously not exactly like, they're not using that artwork. It's obviously a little bit different. So it's enhanced a little bit, it looks good, but still, it's the diecast. It's not the animation. Maybe they just couldn't get Pixar to send over some good pics. Maybe that's why, and they had to do it themselves. Very possible. This one, the reason for that could be actually on Pixar. I will not be opening these up because they are, pretty much the same as the Chinese versions here. Like, for example, we'll compare them. Just obviously now made from Vietnam. So I will, show each of them here as a little comparison, but I will not be opening them up. I might get extras down the road to open up, but right now this is pretty much just an unboxing and discussion of the line. I'll bring out Buzz here because I didn't compare him. So which is your favorite as well? Let me know your thoughts on this series and which one's your favorite. I'm not really sure yet. I need to go through them all here. All right. Up next is Hamm. He's pretty heavy, but still, he could have been a single. Come on. Hamm looks pretty much the same as his Chinese version. Because they can't really screw him up. I mean, the eyes are really the only decal. And they're just black dots. Hard to mess that up. So yeah, this is probably one of the most similar variations I've ever seen before. Between China and Vietnam, or China and Thailand. They look pretty much identical. Hamm with 2 M's, I love it. These really are some nostalgic cars, so I do give Mattel that. They are definitely pressing on their heartstrings for this. So here is Woody. So using the diecast art, of course. Here is a little comparison. So the expressions do look a little different in the shading. My Woody is kind of old. All of these are actually the oldest. I remember getting all of them pretty much when they first came out. So that was about 2007 and 8. Really interesting cars to make so early on in the diecast line. It's been going on for 14 years. And, if I was asked, without knowing, hey, Disney Docket, when do you think the Car-ified Pixar characters got released? Was it year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 14? Because, if you think about it, let's say, for Cars 2, I think a good example is Josh Coolin. I say he's a pretty significant character when you think about all the characters that Mattel has released from Cars 2. They've released so many minor characters, and compared to Josh Coolin's pretty substantial. And if I was asked, what year was Josh Coolin released, I would say probably year 3 or 4. No, year 9. 9 years after the movie was released, they did finally end up releasing Josh Coolin. And if you guys are catching my drift, I would not have guessed these guys would have been released in year 2 and 3. After, 2 years and 3 years after Cars 1 came out. So here's Flik. Flik might be my favorite. I actually really like how the Vietnam variations look in here. The eyeshadow looks pretty good. But yeah, if you guys know what I'm trying to say there, I definitely would have thought these would be released later on. Same thing with the circus cars. The circus cars took 9 years to be released. And these only took 2 and 3. That's Mattel for you. Toss him in the back there. And here we go. We got the Monsters Inc. cars coming up here. So here's the one that maybe could truly pass as a deluxe, I guess. He probably is a little under scaled anyway. He probably should be a little bit bigger. But they have released him in 2 packs, which like I said is pretty much a single or 2 singles put together. So here's the Chinese Sulley. Whoa. Got the eyeshadow there. I really did wish they make him bigger. Like they really should. He looks so disproportionate. Like his cab here should be way bigger, and the tires just look so weird. They did do a good job with the back here and showing all the characters, because you know a lot of the times, let me pull up a good example here. Here's a good example. When you only show 2 cars on the back and one of which is the car you're holding, that is just not good marketing. But here they show 6 other cars on the back, none of which are the one you're holding. So that's great. You know, I applaud Mattel for doing that. They did a good job with that. And last but not least is Mike. For the first time ever, they used his last name, Wazowski. I love that. I'm really happy to actually see that on here. It does add a little spice to the release here, although this kind of ticks me off that he will cost probably around $5-6 in the store because he is so gosh darn small. He really should only be like a half price of a single, because never mind, I'm just getting myself worked up. But yeah, he's looking pretty sweet, I have to admit. As well, I think I actually prefer the Vietnam variation right off the bat here, because his eye just looks a little bit more realistic with the eyeshadow. The artwork they have going on here just looks a little weird though. The fact that the eye is not centered, that's looking towards you, and the green is just so bright. It doesn't even match. Look at that. It's so weird. I don't know what they were doing with those images on the front there. Because look at this. You have that, which looks good, and then you have that. Like what? Whoa. Scaring me there with that eye. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. My favorite out of all, well, we got 7 of these. Wow, that's quite a bit, actually. Didn't really think it was that many. Would probably be Flik. Yeah, Flik is still my favorite, just because I really do like him. You know, that's all there is to it. Wow, that actually looks pretty cool. I didn't think they could stand on each other like that. Awesome stuff, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing video. And before we sign off, I did want to mention Wave 2. In my personal opinion, I feel like they're going to pump out, you know, a case B of this series, and it will include Yeti, and that will be it. It will just have Yeti from Monsters Inc., and that will be it for the series. I think there's a possibility we get a non-lenticular Yeti with snow cones, because this was a chase piece in 2010, but if they released him with fixed eyes, it would technically not violate the never re-release a chase rule. And of course they could, you know, if they're feeling really frisky, get into the Incredimobiles, which we saw previews of, or kind of like a Easter egg in Cars 2. And yeah, that's pretty much where the cookie crumbles. You know, knowing Mattel, they're probably just going to release the normal Yeti and call it a day. That is my formal prediction, and we will see how it holds up probably, you know, in a month or 2. Thanks again for watching, guys. I will see you soon. Bye now.